Hello and welcome to this quick tip from BlenderCookie.com. My name is Jonathan Williamson, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about the Boolean modifier. Now, this is a modifier that, depending on the circle of Blender users that you're in, can cause some heated discussions at times, or else some praise or disgust, depending on what you're trying to do with it. But the Boolean modifier does have its time and place, and what it allows you to do is take, for example, these two objects here, where I have a tube and a cube. Two just very simple shapes, but if I wanted to, say, cut basically a hole through the center of this cube, there's a variety of ways I could do it. I've showed you several different ways in previous tips on cutting holes in square surfaces or round surfaces, but, no one can deny that the Boolean modifier is a very quick way to do that. So let me just show you that real quick. If we go over here with our cube and add in a Boolean modifier, which you can find right here, and then choose the object for which to interact with as the cylinder, we can first immediately see what happens when we use the intersect method. It basically obtains the shape of the cylinder through the points which it intersects with the cylinder. So my cube is now basically a cylinder shape. Or you can change the operation over to a union, such that it merges the two objects together. Or lastly, you can change it to a difference. Now, the difference is probably the most common use, where it allows you to basically use an object to punch a hole through another object, kind of like a cookie cutter effect. Well, this is very nice because it does allow us to do these kind of operations very quickly and easily. You can particularly see if I go ahead and click apply on this and then hit Shift H to hide everything else, I now have a cube that has a perfect cylindrical hole in it. But it raises some issues, and this is where a lot of debate tends to happen, or else advice against using the Boolean modifier is if we look at our mesh here, this is not exactly ideal as far as how the circle is connecting with the square faces in terms of topology. It doesn't give us a lot of options. We can't add any loop cuts through here except across these individual edges. And so in areas like that, it tends to cause a lot of problems. And sometimes it'll even add in extra geometry. Like you can see that we've got a vertex here and a vertex there, and maybe even another one in there that are serving no purpose, that shouldn't even be there. And so this is where we have to do a little bit of cleanup work. But with a couple of main tips, we can make that cleanup work a lot less painful. So I'm going to undo this, where I don't want to apply the modifier just yet. So here we go. And what I'm going to do is make a couple of advancements on our mesh before we actually add in the Boolean modifier. And what that is I want to go ahead and basically restrict the amount of topology this is going to add by adding in some loop cuts around here and also or else around the outside edges. And so a real quick, easy way to do that is let's just go ahead and subdivide our mesh twice by hitting W and subdivide. And what this will do now, if we hit tab, you'll now notice that all of the cutting has taken place inside these faces right here. So now the outsides of our cube are still perfectly intact. Let's go ahead and apply that and take another look at it. So now we can see, we still have, well, actually, looks like we don't have any extraneous vertices this time. Oh, actually, yeah, we do. You've noticed that if you Alt-right click on here, you'll notice that it doesn't go all the way around because we've got a duplicate vertex here. So let's first just select everything and W and remove doubles. We can see that we removed 8 vertices, and now we have a continuous loop almost all the way around, except for these areas here where we have a pole, which is basically we've got more than 4 edges connected to the single vertex. And we also have a triangle right here, which we could go ahead and select and hit F to fill in a face. So for a lot of purposes, this may be fine just like it is. We can still add in our loop cuts across here, 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 and here if we need to. But we run into a problem, and a very serious problem, if we go in and let's just add in a subdivision surface modifier, since this would be quite common, and you'll immediately see one of the problems that comes about with this technique is that we run into all these really nasty jagged edges in here. But there's a real quick and easy solution to fix that, and that is to go ahead and just select all the vertices here, and we just want to hit S and Shift X so that we're not scaling along the X-axis. We'll scale this up a little bit, maybe to about right there, left click, and let's hit E to extrude, right click, and then S and Shift X once more, and scale this down And now you can see we have nearly a perfect transform. And if we add in 2 loop cuts here, scale them along the x-axis, then we have a really nice even mesh. We can also add in any loop cuts we want across these edges. And before long, very quickly, we can have a nice square cube with the hole cut out using the Boolean modifier. And so really, the solution that came about for this was to go ahead and rather than having all of these triangles on here and distorted faces on a curved surface, was to restrict them to the flat surface, giving us a much better final result. Now, you could definitely do a lot more cleanup work to get a smooth effect here, such that your topology would be a lot cleaner, maybe even these out a lot more, but in just a couple of quick steps, we're able to improve the effect of the Boolean modifier quite quickly.